So welcome. It's our first Zoom of the year, and we are super excited to be able to kick off 2023. We actually had a cruise that went out on New Year's Eve, and that trip started the year, and we had some wonderful shirts and stuff cruising into the new year. So we are excited. We are off and cruising into the new year, and we couldn't think of a better way to start off our happy hours that we do than with Holland America. And I am super excited to have our rep on with us today. And this, of course, is going to be Ann Hall. And you know what? I'm going to stop the share for a second just so you can see Ann. And I want to welcome you. Ann has actually been in the industry for over 20 years, close to 25 years in the industry, and has in the cruise industry as well. So welcome, Ann. I'd love for you to share a little bit about your journey in the travel industry.
Thank you. Thank you. First, I want to say that it is a pleasure to be here this evening. And thank you so much for joining me. I'm so thrilled to be here. I have to say that Friendship Tours, Ship Shop, a valued travel partner of Holland America Line for the last 37 years. So without exaggeration, I'm so thrilled to be here on your first return Zoom call, and I'll be on my best behavior, hoping to be invited back to many more. So again, I've been in the industry, as Brett said, the best of 25 years. I'm only 26, so no judging. And I am blessed to have sailed on many, many cruises, actually visiting 5 of our 7 continents, and I don't take it for granted. So much beauty everywhere, and just thrilled that you are going to be joining us on Holland America with what Brett has in store for you this evening. So without further ado, it's not about me, it's about you. And I'm going to let Brett continue.
Well, we are also very fortunate. Joining us on the call, we have some of our office members here, and I'm going to introduce you to them in just a second as well. While we see their beautiful faces, of course, Donna and Heidi and Barbara.
Hi,
yeah, they're all say hello.
Hello, everyone.
And just to give you an idea, the combined cruise experience that's just in those 3 people is, so Donna's actually been working in the industry for 35 years. Barb, what year are you up to now?
I started in 87, so 30 something years as well, about 36 years.
Yep. And Heidi also has been an avid traveler for many, many years. And so that's just kind of what we brought together for this call for you tonight. So everybody's going to help me out. And if they say, oh, there's something to go ahead and tell you that I missed, they're going to add that in. So without further ado, let's get back to the screen share now that you've seen everybody, and let's get right into the information. So for many of you, you know Friendship Tours. We like to say your journey begins with Friendship Tours, and we really have had a journey the last couple of years. And last year was a return to some normality, and people were on the road. So what I love to say, if you haven't traveled yet, or if you've been traveling, that's great. When you're ready, we are ready for you. And we have many options, from things that are very, very close to day trips, to overnight tours, to fly tours, to, of course, the world of cruising. So near and far, and whenever you're ready, we are ready for you to begin with us. And speaking of beginnings, in 77 is when Friendship Tours was started. And it was actually started with a journey that began actually in 1958. I know none of you on this call remember that year. You're much too young. But in 1958, this lady over here that you see on your screen, that's actually my mom. And she started her travel journey. This was her Girl Scout troop. In 1958, they got the crazy idea that they all could board a train, go up to Montreal, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, Montreal. But they sailed out the St. Lawrence River, which we're going to do on one of the trips we're going to talk about today. And they actually went all the way over to Europe, and 13 different countries. They had almost 25 girls all join on that. And after 2 months, my mom had fallen in love with language, cultures, topography, but more than anything, she had friendships that lasted her entire lifetime. And those friendships through travel That's what Friendship Tours is all about. And I see a lot of you on this call that I know, and you've been wonderful friends of Friendship Tours, and we can't wait to get you back on the road again. Now, in 1977, this was myself and my sister, who are lucky enough to be the owners of Friendship Tours today. We were actually in kindergarten. My mom used to joke and say she started when she was in kindergarten, but really we were. And we are twins. I know if you see us today, you may not know that, but the journey of travel when we were kids, we literally would go on trips with 20 and 30 of our closest friends. So we've had a bit of a journey along with our wonderful staff. And our staff, there are 9 of us in Bloomfield. When you call the phone, you get a live person. These are some of the faces that you see. And then, of course, we have all our wonderful tour directors and everybody on the road. So that's a little bit about Friendship Tours. We're thrilled to have everybody here. Let's talk about specifically one of our favorite product lines. I know Anne was talking about going all the way back into the 80s, as 86 is when the ship shop started, and Holland America has been a partner pretty much from the beginning for us. And the cruise line is an amazing line. We've had a lot of success. It's probably one of the cruise lines I've personally been on the most. So it's something that I know very, very well and feel a real kinship to because of the different product line. But so much of this is knowing what you are and what you aren't. I have people that ask me all the time, what is the cruise line that I should go on? And I always start off with, please tell me a little bit about yourself. And to do that today, because we can't all necessarily talk on the call today, what I'm going to do is talk a little bit about who is Holland America Line. Number one, destinations, experts, and immersive. 150 years is what they're celebrating. Way back in 1873 is when Holland America was started. So they have tons of experience. When we talk about Alaska, over 70 years of Alaska experience, longer than its statehood, they've actually been bringing people to Alaska. They have unrivaled culinary experiences, the best in live music, and of course, perfectly sized ships. So now that we've told you a little bit about who they are, let's talk about maybe what they aren't. And I always find this to be a great way to start.
To all of you who want go-karts, laser tag and water slides, may we suggest another cruise line? To all of you explorers looking to discover, to all of you foodies looking to indulge, to all you music lovers looking to be moved, may we suggest your next cruise? We're Holland America Line. We're not for everybody, but we might be perfect for you.
And I think, Anne, I'd love to have you talk a little bit about Holland America so everybody can get a feel, because there's so much more to it. And I think starting with this slide is a great place to begin.
Excellent. If you know us at Holland America Line, as Brett said, we are celebrating 150 years of service. So we come with so much experience to offer you to really make that cruise experience spectacular. We actually sail all 7 continents, visiting 100 countries, taking you to almost 400 ports of call. So I would like to think that we have a destination for everyone. Not only are we taking you to these wonderful places, and I'll go on when Brett gets to the next slide, our service is unsurpassed. So we are a premium cruise line, perfectly sized. And it makes us, we're dedicated to explorers, to foodies, music lovers who want that perfectly sized ship, because our largest ship carries no more than 2,600 people. I think our smallest is probably 1,300. So you can imagine how we can really turn up the volume on the service and everything that you experience on board. As I said, for explorers, destination expertise comes with 150 years of being in service. So we have that deeper understanding of every single destination that we visit. Unrivaled culinary. I don't know about you, but I want to go to all these places, but the way to my heart also is food. unrivaled culinary experiences guided by a culinary council of world-renowned chefs. So we're taking you to all of these places. We're giving you the best food. Now you got to put entertainment in that. That goes hand in hand. So it's the best live music at sea at Music Walk and World Stage. I think I mentioned at the beginning, the service, because of the size of the ships that we offer to you. It's renowned, every detail, every day, the best service at sea. We want you to enjoy your destination, but when you're on board with us, your dinner, entertainment, we want you to feel just as special. And honestly, we accomplish that. We accomplish that by being that perfect sized ship. One last thing, that deck that you see them walking, oh no, I think it's the lower deck. We have that wraparound deck that you feel you can reach out and touch all these destinations because you are right there as a part of the destination you're visiting.
And we are definitely going to talk about that wonderful wraparound deck, because on the 2 tours that we're doing, those are going to come into play. So let's talk about today. We're going to actually be doing the best of Alaska and Yukon, land and sea. That's going to be in June, but we're going to start off with our escorted. So this meaning our staff from Friendship Tours and the Ship Shop will actually be traveling on this trip from beginning to end. And this is going to be Montreal, Canada, and of course a New England cruise. And these are 2 itineraries. You can see the left and the right, right? Pretty much we're on all of North America in these 2. And we're actually, I know a lot of times we go left to right, but we're going to start right to left today. So we're going to change it up a little bit on you. Escorted Montreal. So anytime you're on our website and you see this little compass kind of on any of the flyers on the Ship Shop, you'll see that those mean that our staff is actually with you. And on this trip, this particular cruise actually begins from Montreal, but we need to get to Montreal. So we package the transportation via motor coach all the way through across the border. Our staff is along to help you through that entire process. Of course, Donna and Barbara and Heidi and the entire Ship Shop starts your journey well before you're actually on the motor coach. We are going to take the reservations. We're going to help you know which cabins are right for you, answer all those questions. There are some different challenges in today's world. Internet is very important, being internet savvy, meaning that you have a smartphone or the ability to work through that. And Donna, Barb, and everybody in the Ship Shop is great at helping you with this process. So we won't go into too much detail, but that is part of it. So when you travel, you got to have a little bit of flexibility these days, and really important is packing the patience along the way. And that patience actually starts from the beginning, getting through the process of getting you all set. Over the last couple of years, lots and lots of changes to how cruising was done and all the protocols. We are always up to speed on what the newest protocols are, yet it's very important for the traveler to also be monitoring things. If you have questions, you call us right at the office, either on our 800 number or our regular number. You can email, whatever is your chosen way of communicating, but very, very important. Then what this trip is going to do is it's going to start off via motor coach. We're going to go up to Montreal, and we're going to actually stay right at the Westin in Montreal. For those that are familiar with Montreal, this colorful building that you're seeing there, that's actually the convention center. So this Westin is directly across the way. If you were to walk several blocks over to your right and then up about 2 blocks, you would actually be in Old Town. And after we drive up to Montreal, we will go to a beautiful dinner to start our time in Montreal. Food is amazing in Montreal, and Donna and Barb have really worked hard to get a great restaurant booked for us. So we'll do our dinner, we'll check into our hotel, we'll get to relax, and then the next day, after you do a little breakfast on your own, you're then going to start your journey. We're going to leave the hotel. Your bags will be picked up, brought to the motor coach. We will then have those basically under the coach till we get to the pier. we're going to start off our tour, and our tour is actually up in Old Town. This is the Notre Dame Basilica of Montreal. The building is absolutely gorgeous. Right where that statue is, there's a whole big courtyard. On the back side of this are all of the banking buildings. This is the heart of Old Town. That inside of that basilica, that's actually wood. It is fantastically carved, and we will start there on our tour. From there, we're going to span all different parts of Montreal. What's great is we'll actually go down to the islands and all the way up to Mount Royal. Now, this does depend on traffic and different things that might be going on in the city. I know last year, Barb and Donna had to deal with the Grand Prix, one of the biggest events in all of Montreal. This year, we're going in May, no issues with any of that. Now, what you're seeing here is a view from Mount Royal, Montreal. Mount Royal is what that translates to. And at the top of Mount Royal is actually a beautiful park that was designed by the Olmsteds, very similar to Central Park. One of the things that you're going to notice on this trip is a lot of Montreal and Quebec, which is also on this, are old European style cities. They're walled cities. They have the feel as though you're in Europe. And actually, the movie industry has taken advantage of this. Many times when you see a movie in Europe, it's actually in Montreal or Quebec. The last time I was in Montreal, they were taking all of the English words off all the windows because they were shooting a European scene for X-Men. So you never know what you're going to see. Down at the bottom, that is architecture. That's from '67 when the World's Fair was held actually in Montreal. That's an architect, Moshe Safdie. So you're going to learn all about this. Then we're going to finish our tour just about noon. We're going to go right down to the pier. It's a great pier. The ship will be waiting for us. We will board that ship and we'll be ready to get our lunch right on board and start our journey of our cruise. So when we do this, we are going to be on the Zaandam. The Zaandam is actually one of the smaller ships in this wonderful array of different cruise ships. So again, we talk about size. So on this particular one, the size of this vessel is extremely important. To get to Montreal, anything that's bigger than this can't actually go there. So you don't see a lot of cruise lines starting from Montreal. A lot of times they start from Quebec and you miss out on this great old world city. So we're going to start on the Zaandam, 1,400 people. To give you size, how many have ever walked a track? I bet some of you have. If you go around the track 4 times, that is 1 mile. The deck, the teak deck that's all along underneath where the lifeboats are, that is a deck that goes completely around the ship. I love it because you can get it for those that are walkers. You can actually walk all the way around, front, bow, and aft. And that is 1/4 mile. So it gives you an idea of what it's like. So again, if you were going from the front forward to aft for either a show or for dinner, it's really simple and easy to get around. Inside, this ship is classic. She has an amazing staff, and they are there to basically treat all of your needs. And it's a great style. It's only 9 decks. There's a 10th sports deck, but basically the decks, only 9 of them. So really easy to get around. The majority of things would be on deck 3 and 4, and then towards the top. This is the crow's nest, one of my personal favorite spots on the ship. It's a great place to be when you're sailing away. It has a nice little bar up there. These are some of the areas on the ship as well. The pool, one of the nice things is no matter what the weather is, if it's a little bit cool in May, they can close the top of it. So they also do some movies under the sea. They have a wonderful spa, casino, all the great amenities. Now, we talked about the size. The reason the size is so important, see that bridge in that picture? That is the Jacques Cartier Bridge. You sail underneath that bridge to get out of Montreal Harbor. If you were a big vessel, you would take the bridge out. So this is the perfect size vessel for this, and it is one of the real experiences. A lot of times ships will have things going on. When the ship sails, everybody goes up top for the sail away. And it is something to behold when you go under that bridge and you start along the St. Lawrence River. Now, our first stop that we're going to do is actually Quebec City. Quebec is one of my favorite destinations, completely walled city, old school style. The history, it's one of the oldest cities in North America. It actually goes well back before into the 1600s. If you've ever remember that Jacques Cartier that I just introduced to you, he sailed off up the St. Lawrence River, kind of like Hudson for us. And this is Quebec. The lower area on the water is what they call the lower city. The upper part, if you see there's a funicular in that picture, and that big, beautiful building, that is the Hotel Frontenac. It is absolutely gorgeous, and let's introduce you a little bit to Quebec and what you're going to experience. Except for we've put the wrong video in there. So we're not going to do that one. That's in our next part of the presentation. That's going to be Denali. So we won't talk about that right now. In Quebec, you have a couple different options. There's a whole series of shore excursions. Let's talk about your cruise. Every person that goes on this cruise actually has the ability to have a different cruise. What do I mean by that? Is with shore excursions, and you'll get a nice booklet of the different things that are out there. In each of the areas that we stop, you are going to be able to choose what those are. Those are in addition to the cost. These are some examples of what some of the pricing was. Some of the tours that I really enjoy in Quebec, historic modern Quebec. So this goes not only through the older part, but also goes through some of the newer area. The stroll through with tea. That church, which is in the upper right-hand corner, is one of the oldest churches in Quebec. Now, when you think of Quebec, you think of course, French, and that looks very English, and it was. And Ben Franklin actually went up to Quebec during the beginnings of the Revolution, tried to convince them to join us. The Brits said, well, we'll go back and let you guys have whatever religion you want. Catholic happened to be the predominant religion, and voila, they didn't go to us, and basically what looks like a very English church is actually a Catholic church. So kind of a neat one. The walk through Quebec is lots of fun. St. Anne, basically I can never do the French, but the wonderful religious shrine you can visit, and this is also Mount Morenty Falls. So lots of things that you can do. Quebec will be the first stop. Then you get to relax a bit. You'll actually go down the St. Lawrence, extremely smooth on the river. You'll be able to see each side. As you go, now you get to enjoy the ship and all the different amenities that are on board. We'll then make our way to Prince Edward Island after we do our St. Lawrence cruising. While you're on board, this is where you may want to experience some of the wonderful food options. On this particular ship, they have two extra restaurants. They have, of course, the wonderful main dining room. They have their wonderful buffet area. They have a nice place out by the pool. So lots of options, but two of my favorite are Pinnacle Grill, which is a wonderful steakhouse, and of course, Canaletto's. Anne, do you have anything to say about those?
Oh, absolutely. You have to experience Pinnacle Grill. I think we have some photos coming up of the bacon clothesline. It is honestly, it may be a 5-course meal. If we did it in our hometowns, it would be costing you a hefty penny, but it's such a great experience. And as we said, these are world-renowned chefs. Canaletto is our Italian restaurant, and it really is family style with your red and white tablecloths and lots of fabulous menus originating, of course, right from Italy. So you've got lots of wonderful food to experience coming your way.
And of course, lots of activities, full shows. So this is a great day just to experience that before we arrive at our next port of call, which is going to be Prince Edward Island. You'll see here, the docks are right at the city. You come off the city through the cruise terminal and you are right in the heart of everything. Now, some of the things that people think of when they think of Prince Edward Island, some people think of golf, but many people think of course, Anna Green Gables, which is what you see in the upper corners. Lots of different options here, from seafood to pub crawls to all kinds of activities. One of my favorite destinations. And it is just really fun to see the people of Nova Scotia and of Prince Edward Island, this whole region that we're coming into. So from there, we're going to make our way to Nova Scotia. Our first stop is going to be in Sydney, Nova Scotia. That giant fiddle, that's because of their Scottish background. And that's actually the cruise center when you arrive there. People greet you. When you actually leave, they do a cannon fire. Really neat. On your left-hand side, that is, I can't think of the name of it right now. It's the Cabot Trail. Yes, the Cabot Trail. Of course, Alexander Graham Bell was from this area as well. And then the lakes up there are amazing. So a lot of different options to be able to do when you're in Sydney, Nova Scotia. From there, we make our way to Halifax. Halifax is a really interesting city, very modern and very old in the same time. It was a big gunpowder area. Unfortunately, they blew themselves up twice. So they've reinvented themselves many, many times. But Nova Scotia is like no other. And from there, you can also make your way to Peggy's Cove.
My definition of Peggy's Cove would be a glacial retreat. I was much older before I realized how much I really appreciated where I came from. This was our playground.
First of all, look at it. Mist is rising and the sun starts shining. Oh, it's breathtaking.
It's an incredible view. You've got 13 kilometers of straight ocean to look across, and of course all the clouds dancing changes the colors and the hues. You're almost enveloped by the nature.
The legend says Peggy was the only survivor of the shipwreck. It happened just out here off Halibut Rock. Everybody around the bay would say, "Let's go see Peggy of the Cove." So they named it Peggy's Cove. It's the end of a glacier. So it's a barren place where these rocks were dropped when the glacier melted, and they're sitting all over the place.
I was going to answer you, but.
And then the cove is nestled in amongst these rolling big cliffs. It's just incredible. I'm a country boy, and I never get too much of the country because it relaxes the mind, and you look at this beauty, it takes the stress away.
If you're going to slow down, this is a wonderful place to do it. Almost like a captain's rest, if you understand what that means. Someone who's traveled a long time can find some peace here.
So Peggy's Cove is a great spot. The Citadel sits up on top. That's where that tower is. The Botanic Garden is a wonderful visit. Believe it or not, the graveyard for the Titanic is actually there. It's a really interesting visit. I know it sounds kind of funny to talk about that, but what's really interesting is the stones are actually in the exact orientation where they actually found the Titanic. So really neat. Jack Dawson and all these wonderful people that you know the names of, you can actually hear about that history. So of course, Peggy's Cove we talked about, one of the most photographed places in all of Nova Scotia. Really, really fun. From there, we're gonna leave Canada, we're gonna make our way into the States, and we'll be heading to Boston and of course, Bar Harbor. This particular spot, the ship is gonna be just off in the harbor. You'll tender in, it's a very short trip. And then in Bar Harbor, there are some of my favorite spots. One, of course, is Arcadia National Park. The lower left-hand corner, that would be Cadillac Mountain, and the shops and the ice cream and the chowder you can't beat. So you'll never end up feeling crabby, which is the upper picture. Let's talk about your stays. So all on this ship, the staff, this ship is really able to hold almost 2,000. We're 1,400. So the amount of open space and the staff ratio to guests is phenomenal, and they just take care of you. So in the upper left-hand corner would be an inside cabin. The outside cabin would be on the lower, and then the balcony. That would be an example. So you can find those on the flyers. The flyer is on our website, looks just like that. You go onto the page, you can get for more information. It will share all of the details on the back of that flyer. So that is our first tour that we're going to be doing. The second trip that we have for you is going to be the best of Alaska and the Yukon. This is a landing cruise. So we have been coming to Alaska for many, many years. This is June 5 through 17, 13 days, 12 nights. This is what they call both a land, sea, and Yukon. So you're kind of getting all three. And this is a trip I was lucky enough to actually lead a group on in 2019. And Holland America, we talked about, they've been doing Alaska since 1947. They are definitely the group that the leaders when it comes here, and it's a program that we love to do. Now, our Alaska experience, this is Donna. I told you she started very, very early on. She doesn't look even a day older, but
Yeah.
this was the very first trip, right, that you led to Alaska?
Yes, I did. That was 1990. I can't even believe it. I'm wearing my Yukon though. Go Huskies, right? Yeah, that was on the Regent Sun. So Regency Cruises, which isn't even around anymore. You can see how old I am.
Now we're going to
And
talk
then-
about Denali. This is one of
Yeah.
the best pictures I've ever seen. So
So every time I go to Denali, the mountain is out. So if you want to see the mountain, you have to go with me. Very, very lucky to have that view with so few clouds. So
and
that
Denali
picture,
is the highest mountain if you go from its base all the way up that's actually visible. And it actually creates its own weather. We'll talk a little bit more about that. And that's why only 30% of the time do you get a view like that. So very, very fortunate. This was one of the last times that we were in Alaska. Again, you can see Denali back there. So just so that Donna isn't telling any fibs, these are a couple different times. Now, Barb has also had the opportunity to go to Alaska as well. So we've had a really great time. And Anne, tell us where you are.
So I am, I'm in Juneau. I was sailing the Inside Passage of Alaska, got off at Juneau, took a helicopter ride up to Mendenhall Glacier, and then got off for a walkabout. That ice that you see me standing on is 1,000 feet deep. This experience will stay with me for a lifetime, for the rest of my life. Absolutely amazing, wilderness forever. I just can't tell you how wonderful of an experience that was. That's in Juneau.
And
Amazing.
it's an unbelievable area, and we're going to show you why going to both do it by sea and by land is so important. But let's talk about Alaska.
There's something cleansing about being in nature, being in a place that is on such a massive scale. There's a reset button.
Alaska has a rich history. People came here from all over the world. That sense of adventure, not knowing really what they were going to find.
My favorite part is seeing it through the guest eyes, watching them just light up.
It gets you excited again. It makes you realize, oh, hey, this is why I'm doing this.
It's our modern day gold rush.
Being with Holland America Line creates this connection with my guest.
They really are experts in travel.
You feel like you're a part of Alaska. It's just a different feeling here than anywhere else.
By land, by sea,
by experts.
We are Alaska.
So let's talk about Alaska in just the sheer size of it. So if you were to put it onto the continental US, this is what it would look like. These are some numbers that I always find pretty amazing. That's our square footage here in Connecticut. If you were to go to Texas, this would give you an idea. Roughly 48 of that state would fit in Alaska. And for us, you know, just a couple bit more. But it is quite large. Now, the areas that we're going to cover, if you were just to do the sea portion, you would basically only see this small little part of Alaska. So by adding the land area and then the Yukon, you are really getting this in the fullest and broadest area. When I first did Alaska, I did not do the Yukon on my first journey. And I have to say, I really thought the wilderness and the people lack of it was, I mean, it's so much fun. So many people are always visiting Alaska, but when you come over here to Dawson City and make your way to Whitehorse and then down to Skagway, it is over the areas. It is just absolutely like no other trip you'll ever do. And we're going to go into very good detail, but this really gives you an idea of some of the area that we're going to go ahead and cover. And the best part is from Fairbanks to Dawson, we're going to do that via flight. So let's talk about what the day by day kind of looks like. First, we're going to leave on the 5th. We're going to do a flight from Bradley area, and we're going to make our way to Anchorage. Donna, do you want to talk about flights at all?
Yeah, so Oh, sorry. So right now, because we are looking at a trip that's so close, if you decide to make a reservation on this tour, we would go ahead and get your flights booked right away. And so it's something we custom designed for each person that's booking. So you can decide if you want to stay a little longer in Vancouver, if you want to not stay and you just need to get home. So we just custom design it for everybody. We budget in an amount for our flights in every package. And so, we've been very good right now. Luckily, Air, with the increases that we've seen, we've been lucky. We've been getting some good rates and able to fit right in that budget. So right now, everything's looking good if anybody else would like to join.
So we can do air from anywhere, but typically when people are leaving out of Bradley, you will do a stop halfway and then another flight usually. So the schedules vary, and because on this one, unlike the New England, Canada that we talked about before, where we were going via bus and all of that, that had our staff traveling with. This one is going to actually, you're going to fly on your own. You're going to make your way to Anchorage. And once you actually arrive, you'll get your luggage, you'll come out, and that is when you are going to be met by your journey host. And why I love this particular program is this has a Holland America journey host that's with you all the way along. So on this particular trip, it's going to start in Anchorage. It's the this time of year, it's the midnight sun, so the sun isn't going to set. It's absolutely gorgeous. Anchorage, we'll show you in a second. It has some of the biggest flowers you'll ever see because of that sunlight. So really, really neat. Then you're going to travel via rail to Denali. This is actually going to have a couple days that you'll actually be there before on the 9th. You'll then travel via motor coach, these beautiful coaches that I'll show you, to Fairbanks. With that, you're going to have a gold rush, the gold dredge experience included. So that rail experience will show you this wonderful trip. While you're at Denali, you're actually going to have a tundra tour that's in there, and then there'll be time to make this your own. So we'll talk a little bit about some of the land excursions, like a shore excursion, but these are called land excursions because we're traveling via land. The nice thing is your luggage is going to be moved for you each of the different days. So really, really nice. You're not worrying about that. We can't go into all the details today about packing and dress and all that. I'll just simply tell you layers. You want to be able to layer up and layer down because the weather can literally go from a 40-degree to an 80+ degree. So it's definitely something we have lots of experience and we're happy to help you. But basically, you want to be able to layer up and layer down in the same day. Then after Fairbanks, that is where the flight is going to take you from up to Dawson in the Yukon. So you will, of course, need your passport. You are going to be going over the line and into Canada for this part of it from the US. You're then going to travel using these beautiful motor coaches, which we'll show you all the way through. You'll be going to Whitehorse. Dawson is like nothing you've ever seen. We'll show you lots of great pictures. And then you're actually going to travel via the White Pass Railroad into Skagway. That's where you'll then meet your ship and your cruise portion will begin. This will start off with a visit to Glacier Bay. Holland America has more permits to Glacier Bay than any other cruise line. Many cruise lines can't get in there. It is actually the size of Connecticut. So you'll see that as well. Then we'll be traveling to Ketchikan. From there, scenic cruising along the Inside Passage and finishing our tour in British Columbia. If you want to do an extension, as Donna said, you can certainly do that. So let's go into details on this trip for you.
Far north of the familiar lies a wonderland of untamed wildlife, awe-inspiring glaciers, and incredible history. For more than 70 years, Alaska has been our home away from home, and we can't wait to share it with you. This is our 13-day Yukon and Double Denali Alaska land and sea journey, a Holland America Line signature itinerary. Starting in Anchorage, ending in Vancouver, you'll enjoy 13 days discovering the Yukon, Alaska, and its unspoiled coastline. After a day exploring Anchorage, set off aboard the McKinley Explorer in search of wilderness adventure at Denali National Park. The size of Massachusetts, Denali deserves 2 nights to fully appreciate it. Go flight seeing to your very own glacier landing strip. Go deep inside Denali National Park to find moose, grizzlies, and more. And return each day to gather with friends at Denali Square, our exclusive retreat on the edge of the park, to enjoy colorful stories and songs from park rangers, local musicians, and more. In Fairbanks, spend a day panning for gold. Then hop a quick flight over the border into the Yukon. Gold Rush history is everywhere, as are some of nature's proudest displays of grandeur. Try your luck at Diamond Tooth Gertie's in Dawson City. And work on your wildlife bucket list at Whitehorse's Yukon Wildlife Preserve. Cross back into Alaska on the historic White Pass and Yukon Route Railroad, where cliff-hugging tracks and hold-your-breath views await at every turn. After spending the night in Skagway, you'll board your ship, and your cruise starts in spectacular fashion at Glacier Bay National Park. Keep your eyes and ears peeled for the white thunder of glaciers tumbling into the sea. In Ketchikan, marvel as totem pole masters carve stories with blades and wood. Then prepare for your return to civilization by joining an Alaska-themed cooking show with America's Test Kitchen, before ending your trip in one of the world's most beautiful cities, Vancouver. An unforgettable adventure across land and sea. Endless tales to bring back home. Savor the journey with our 13-day Yukon and Double Denali Alaska land and sea journey. Only with Holland America Line.
All right, we're done. They did such a good job. No, we're going to start our trip in Anchorage. I absolutely adore this city. It has wonderful history. Again, the flowers, for those that love horticulture, because of the sunlight, you will see flowers that you know from around here, but have never seen like you'll see there. The other part of this is we talked about the journey hosts. One of the really important things is you have an expert along with you.
My name is Sam Redford. I'm a journey host with Holland America Line. One thing that all journey hosts I think kind of have in common is that we love Alaska. When you look around, it's just beautiful. You can go off in any direction and then you can just be surrounded by wilderness. I look at all of the guests as they're experiencing this, and you can just see in their face there's awe. It's incredible. When a guest comes back from a tour or an excursion, it gets you excited again. It makes you realize, oh, hey, this is why I'm doing this, is because they're having this beautiful experience and I get to share that with them now.
And so that is to enhance your experience. When you get to Anchorage, there's a wonderful trolley that you actually, usually very close to our hotel. It's a narration of it. Again, the nights are long, so you can stay out and do things, and you will see many, many planes going right from the water. The most bush planes actually in any state are in Alaska, and these are all in the waterway. The earthquake that they had is very, very famous, and you'll actually see the history of that, where literally the road has dropped a full 2.5 stories. So that is kind of an interesting history. And we're going to skip over this one. This is the train going from Anchorage to Denali. This is one of my favorite experiences, about an 8-hour experience. They have special people like you just saw playing the ukulele. They'll tell you the history, all about the area, but the views are beyond spectacular. This is the McKinley Express. Your first views of Denali actually can come right from this train, and that's exactly what we're seeing. There are characters. There's not only this gentleman to entertain you and to go through the history, but there's also a gentleman in charge of drinks. I know that, Donna, that's one of your favorites, right? This is kind of what it's like. The glass on there, there's actually no reflection. The glass is actually made special by Kodak. And so it actually, when you're taking your pictures, you get wonderful pictures, which you just saw many of mine. It has a dining car on the bottom. So you do, this has full china, the whole works. Really neat experience. So that is the train that will bring you to Denali, where we are now going to spend 2 nights in Denali. And this is where you're looking for the big 5 land animals. So this would be the brown bears, the grizzlies, the Dall sheep, the moose, the wolf, and the caribou. And we have somebody on this call that has actually seen all 5 in the same trip, Donna. She actually saw the hardest of all of them. She was in a bus a little ahead of me. And this guy here, the wolf, was walking on the road, which is about the only way you see them. But really, really neat. Now, we stay at one of the nicest chalets in all of the park. This is the McKinley Chalet and Resort. We'll talk a little bit more about that. This is the Explorer motor coaches that will be traveling around to you. And we can go into more details, but in Denali, I showed you that picture at the beginning that had the area in red. That's all of the land of Denali. So you actually have an opportunity to not only go on the Tundra Tour, which is done by the National Park Service, but then later that afternoon, the first day when you arrive, you can do separate excursions while you're there. One of my favorite is Jeff Barber, who's an Iditarod champion, his Husky farm. You saw some pictures with us holding these little dogs. That's actually, you go, you learn about what it's like to go in the Iditarod. Those dogs need to actually be acclimated to lots and lots of noise because of where they start and finish. So they actually have you hold those puppies so that they can get to know people and be around them. Now they count them, so you can't steal them, but they are just about the most adorable thing you'll ever see. From there, we're going to head off from Denali. We're going to make our way to Fairbanks, and this is the gold dredge experience. So you'll actually be able to do some gold hunting.
Here to Fairbanks, Alaska. My name is Earl Hughes. Come on in, sit down, take a ride on a narrow gauge train.
This experience is really made in an amazing way so that you can get a feel for what it was like
Gold
to
Dredge
be
Gate
in
is
the
a
gold
symbol of a bygone era in Fairbanks. It was an important part of our history and a vibrant part of our history, and people really get the feel and a sense of that when they visit this place. Fairbanks didn't really get discovered until right around the turn of the century, when gold was discovered in 1901. And that really was the genesis of Fairbanks as we know it today. And so our family felt that we should preserve that, we should share it with people so that they can really get a sense of that and be a part of that. All of the structures here are original structures that were built during the gold mining days. The old warehouses, old processing facilities, the bunkhouses where the crews worked, the dredge itself. And of course we use the train really to show that history. And then we get to the gold camp itself where people have a chance to gold pan for gold themselves. That sounds like gold. It's so exciting to see people's faces light up and the enjoyment that they have and the feeling that they really get about what it was like to find that gold for those early gold panners. There's so many experiences. There are really moments that they will treasure for their life. Our family's partnership with Holland America Line began in 1950. And, you know, success for me is having my family continue the business, find the joy in the business that I've found that I know my parents had, and to have that continue on.
And I will say that Heidi is the best that I've ever seen at finding gold. She always gets the most. Now, this is the map that I was showing you. So we've left Denali, made our way to Fairbanks, and now we're going to fly 1 hour flight over to the Yukon.
A short 1 hour flight from Fairbanks to colorful Dawson City gives Holland America Line guests the opportunity to explore the magnificent Yukon, one of North America's best kept travel destination secrets. Yukon guests with 2 nights in Dawson City will board the nostalgic Klondike Spirit paddle wheeler for an unforgettable cruise on the River of Gold. At about the size of California, but with a population of just 35,000, the Yukon is far away, wild, and wonderfully historic. There have been a lot of gold rushes throughout history, but the Klondike Gold Rush was the roughest and hardest fought of them all. It was also the one with the most colorful history and the most spectacular natural backdrop. Strolling Dawson City with boardwalks underfoot, you get a real sense of the 100-year-old character of this place. These unpaved streets and false front buildings originally sprang up to house and serve gold rushers. And you know what? Even today, gold is the #1 industry here. Diamond Tooth Gertie's is the oldest casino in continuous operation in Canada. Patrons occasionally still pay for drinks in gold dust. Holland America Line's Explorer coaches are familiar sights around Alaska and the Yukon throughout summer, delivering you to the wonder of this part of the world smoothly and comfortably. The White Pass and Yukon Rail is an authentic, narrow-gauge train that takes guests on a journey into some amazing Alaskan country. It climbs 3,000 feet in just 20 minutes. When it was built in 1898, people said it couldn't be done, and it has since been named an International Civil Engineering Landmark. That's a designation that it shares with the Eiffel Tower, the Panama Canal, and the Statue of Liberty. Following the Klondike Trail of the last great gold rush, Holland America Line guests have the unique opportunity to journey on the White Pass and Yukon as a key leg of their land and sea journey. Skagway is among Alaska's most colorful and interesting ports of call. It was the gateway to the Klondike, where gold rushers outfitted and set out up the Chilkoot Trail. Today, Skagway is a kind of intersection where Holland America Line cruises meet overland adventures headed into the Great Land. Holland America Line guests have the unique choice to follow the gold rusher's journey cruising first, or experience the great interior, then cruise the inside passage in comfort and style. Situated between steep rocky cliffs at the water's edge, Skagway was part of the setting for Jack London's Call of the Wild, and it offers some wild and wonderful things to do today. Explore and shop the historic port town, or explore on bike, in a canoe, or by dog sled. Skagway brings out the adventurer in everybody. Cruise first, or travel overland and then cruise, from a 7-day cruise to a...
So we will again be taking our plane from Fairbanks right into Dawson. This is the hotel. It is absolutely gorgeous the way that they've done it. It blends right in with the city. This is the Adams Mark Hotel that is special just for Holland America. Of course, Diamond Tooth Gertie's is tons of fun. What's great about Dawson is in the summer, there are people from all over the world that come to work actually in the town as its population, of course, increases. During the winter, when that river that you see completely freezes over, living is a completely different idea. You have to work pretty much all day long to get your water and your heat and all that. There are people that will tell you that's their favorite time of living there. And while you walk up and down the streets, you're going to meet people of all different backgrounds. Those that are in for the summer, those that have been coming for many, many years, and those that live there year round. And in fact, when we were on this particular boat doing our tour, one of our guides, she told exactly what it's like to live completely isolated. She was a writer in an area. She's basically spent about almost 12 hours a day just getting water and making sure she had enough for heat, and then writing the rest of the time. It is really unique and a special place. And like I said before, this is where people almost go, this is what I thought I was going to get when I came to Alaska, because of the open wilderness, the areas that you go without seeing vehicles and things like that. So one of my favorite, this is one of our guests that was at Diamond Tooth 30. It is an actual casino. People still play some of their things in gold dust in this town. It is an active gold mining town as well. So really, really neat. This is the Explorer that we're talking about, and the things that you see along the road. You're of course doing rest stops like we would on any tour, to use restrooms, to do some shopping, and just meet people that are characters. It is one of my all-time favorite trips I've ever done. And this openness that you see from the road all along is one of the main reasons. From there, you go to Whitehorse, and a wonderful city. Has all kinds of history. You're going to learn First Nation is what they call it in Canada, but Native American history, people, the tribes from there, why the crow or the raven and the wolf, what they have in common, and there's some wonderful stories. You're going to learn all about these things. Then we're going to make our way to Skagway, and we're actually going to go over the White Mountain Pass. So this is on our way to getting there that day. And then we arrive at the narrow gauge that you saw in that video. This will actually bring you into Skagway. I'm going to skip over this particular one. What I love about this itinerary is, if anyone's ever traveled to Skagway, you'll see all the different ships and all the cruise ships come in, and the town gets all full with different people. You arrive about midday. You come over this White Pass Railroad. You come right into the area. They bring you right to your special hotel, which actually has all these different walkways. Be it if you love hiking or you just like to take a walk, your journey host is going to give you all the ins and outs. There's lots to do in this town. I know it's one of Donna's favorite towns, but what I loved about this experience is everybody leaves and you overnight. And it's like you have the entire place to yourself. Now, you do hear lots of people having fun. A lot of that's the journey host. This is like summer camp. People just have a great time because a third of the city leaves at night on the ships. So really, really fun. I think it's an experience that you're going to love. This next day is where we are going to then meet our ship. On this particular trip, the Koningsdam is our vessel of choice. It's one of the Pinnacle class ships. We'll talk a little bit about that. But our next day, we're actually now on the easy part. We're on our ship moving down. But that first day is kind of like a shore excursion brought to you. And what do I mean by that? It's Glacier Bay. Glacier Bay is the size of Connecticut. It's one of the reasons we love Holland America. They have more permits than anybody else, and this is what the experience is. As you get up early in the morning, the park rangers and native people, First Nation people, will actually be up in the top of the ship. They're going to have all kinds of beautiful areas, including the bow of the ship. On that teak deck, they open that up so you can go out and be right near the water line. That's because you're going to see all this animal life, seals and things like that. So you want to be low. This is a great place to have a veranda, and this is the deck. And you're going to see exactly the experience. That's one of the glaciers. You'll actually go through 3 different ones. You enter Glacier National at about 7 in the morning. You want to actually get up early because at the beginning of Glacier Bay is kind of like McDonald's for whales. All of the fish kind of congregate there, and some of your humpback whales, your seals, some of your orcas, what they call the big 5 of the sea part of it, animal life, you can often see early and late. So if you're not an early riser, then when you're leaving, you might want to go there. So one of the absolute best parts is that. From there, we're going to travel down to Ketchikan. Ketchikan has several things that you can basically do. It's this beautiful town. I know, Donna, this is one of your favorite towns.
Yes, well, besides having to do all my last minute shopping, as you can see, because this is like my last chance to get all my souvenirs. But no, I love it because every little town in Alaska just reminds me of, why these towns were built. It was all about the gold rush, right? So Creek Street, which you see there, which is like the famous red light district of Ketchikan. But what we did was really fun. We did that Deadliest Catch trip, which was really fun on the refitted Deadliest Catch boat. They pretended to take us out to the Bering Sea and show us how they caught crabs. Heidi's holding one. She was brave. I would not do that. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a really fun day. And I did manage to get my shopping in as well, which was good.
In addition to that, there is a wonderful native village, which is known for the totem poles. They showed you a little bit about that. The lumberjack show that is done right in the center of town, a ton of fun. So of course, some great shopping and things like that. Now you're going to be sailing the inside passage. People always ask, what side of the ship should we be on? What's beautiful about this trip is as you sail down, there are things on both sides. So it doesn't matter if you're on the port side or the starboard side. When you come into these different areas, you'll actually turn fully and go up the other way. So the views are spectacular from all. And this ship has so many great places. We finish in Vancouver. If you want to extend, you can. The last thing that we're going to talk about is the ship that you're actually on, because this is the pinnacle class. This is kind of the creme de la creme of all of the ships. They are all beautiful in their own right, but I absolutely adore this ship. About 2,600 people. This was the first. There's now 3 different pinnacle class ships. This, the new Statendam, some of you saw that on one of our experiences that myself, Heidi, Donna, family, friends all went on for a holiday trip, which was really, really great. But the Koningsdam, the maiden voyage was in 2016. She is a great size and she is packed. Not only from dining, that wonderful group we showed you before, these are all the specialty dinings. Tamaran is actually my favorite restaurant at sea. They of course have Pinnacle Grill, Rudy's, is great. Canaletto, the sushi, so lots of great places. This is the main dining room. It is a gorgeous dining room. This is Pinnacle Grill, and that is the famous clothesline bacon. I know it sounds funny, but until you try this, it is just one of the best dishes. The steakhouse, here's Donna and family at Pinnacle. This is Canaletto's. The Lido Market. So you can't even call it a buffet. It is fantastic. Individually cooked steaks, modern. This ship is just a gorgeous view. This is Heidi's favorite spot maybe on the ship. This of course would be the Dutch Coffee Bar. Absolutely a great place. You can also get a nice blue moon, all kinds of things from the Netherlands. This is some of the things that you might see on board. The New York Deli and Pizza Shop. This is up by the pool. Great place to be able to get meals. The drive-in, they have gelato, so all kinds of things. Entertainment. So on this ship, they have what's called Music Walk. Music Walk is made up of not only Lincoln Center, billboards, which is battling pianos, one of my favorite. There's an example. They take all kinds of requests. They do different themes throughout. And each of these, B.B. King's, one of the greatest blues, all different types of music, rock and roll. The requests are fantastic. These go at different times. So you can actually watch different pieces all along throughout the night. This is a couple of the pictures that we were there. Rolling Stone. This is actually one of the best rock type of experiences I've ever seen at sea. Unbelievable. They did an acoustic night that was fantastic. Their main stage, on stage, is actually in the round. And this is an example of some of the different entertainment that they do there. They also have B.B. King. This is what it looks like. They do lectures and all kinds of information. This is when the captain tells you all about the ship, everything that takes. Really, really neat. They also do BBC Earth and talks in here, and BBC Earth done in concert with their Lincoln Center Orchestra. So really, really fun. Lots of activities. The pool is fantastic. That was me watching football. It's my feet. Fantastic time. Movies in the pool during the day. So Explorers Lounge, this is all about the destinations that you're going through. Not only do you have your wonderful journey host, but all of this other stuff. These are some of the cabins. So all modern, really beautiful. Inside, outside, balcony. This is, of course, room service. One of the things I love about Holland America, where a lot of people have gone to charges, there's for most of the day is actually complimentary. Nice breakfast before you head out. So last thing I want to do is just kind of give you a little bit of some of the things you'll enjoy. This is my all-time favorite shore excursion, or land excursion in this case. We started the day on the tour in Denali. These are the animals. They actually have naturalists and special things on the bus so that you can see things from far away. And they bring them right up near and close. And then that is right with my own camera. That is a grizzly that was right next to us, a fox. Moose. The McKinley Chalet is just 2 miles away from the entrance of the park. It's one of the best places to see moose. And then when you finish your tour, you can do a shore excursion. This one went up to the top to look at McKinley and the whole range, and then landed right on the glacier. And this is my footage shot from my seat. And it really is breathtaking. So some of the fun that we've had over the years, and we hope that you can join on this wonderful itinerary and do the same. There are the puppies I was telling you about. Denali, yeah. Catch a can. I'm sorry, we've gone a little over time. Invited into the lodge there, which was a really great experience. And then of course, that's the wonderful chalet. One of my favorite places to stay. This courtyard in McKinley Chalet has a wonderful restaurant. They do a show there one night. That funny picture that you saw, me and Donna and all of us looking in our Yukon stuff, that was actually shot for us there. They have a little studio and you can do fun pictures. And this kind of sums up everything. Oops, except for if I skip over it. Oh, it's not going to play for me. Well, 150 years of wonderful experience with Holland America. And that is our presentation for today. So I hope your journey is ready to begin. When it comes to signing up for these trips, Donna, do you want to talk about how somebody goes ahead and makes a reservation for either our Canada, New England, wonderful Montreal trip, or this Yukon and Alaska adventure?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Brett. And first, I want to also thank Anne for sending us our gear for today, our Holland America orange. So I don't normally look like this when I'm working. I don't wear orange hat and orange shirt, but very
color.
Thank you very much for sending us the fun shirts. If anybody signs up, we'll send you a shirt too. You can have one of your attitude of gratitude shirts, because we're all very grateful that we're traveling again, and we're very happy to have this great new attitude. It's been a long couple of years. Anyway, yes, thank you, Brett. And call the office, ask for myself, ask for Barbara. We'll be glad to get you set up. The Holland America Canada has only about 10 seats left on it. Alaska is definitely getting very limited as well. As you can imagine, we're getting very close. We do run these trips pretty much every year. We tweak them a little bit at times, but we will run these same programs in 2024. So, but call our office. We'll walk you through the process of booking, selecting cabins, insurance, all the little nitty-gritty details. That's our job. We'll make it as painless as possible for you. So it's nice to see so many good friends on board the call tonight too. Thank you. And some folks that are planning to go in Alaska are on the call. So I'm excited that they got a little preview for it.
Excellent. I want to, Anne, thank you so much for joining us today. Were there any final comments that you wanted to share?
I just wanted to say thank you. I can't wait to see you all on board. You're going to have an amazing time, whether you're coming with us to Montreal and Quebec or to Alaska. Both destinations are a feast for your eyes. This is a fabulous presentation that you've done, Brett. Wonderful pictures. Come and see the real thing. And you'll think, oh, it's even better.
Well, it's something we have a lot of passion. I know we went about 10 minutes over, so I appreciate everybody sticking in and watching
Yes,
this. We
thank
will
you.
do a nice video of it as well. And if there are any questions, please feel free to go ahead and unmute, and you can ask it directly, or if you want to type it in the chat, you're welcome to do that as well. Let's give everybody a second to.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I have a question. My husband and I are going on the Montreal cruise.
Yes.
And it's been quite a few years since we've been on a cruise. And could you tell me about the internet? When we went before, I'll just say there was none.
So it's definitely improved over the years for sure. And do you want to talk about internet, or you want us to cover that?
No, I can tell you that I agree, Brett. It has definitely improved. And we're going out to Montreal and Quebec. Sometimes when we're in Alaska, in the midst of the glaciers, it can be a little bit spotty, but we're in the city, Montreal and Quebec. So you're going to really notice a huge difference in the internet service. And I'm not sure, Donna, if you've mentioned the Have It All program, but
Right.
that.
Yes, depending on when you make a reservation, depending on when the promotions are that Holland America has, they sometimes are included in the fare, sometimes they are a little bit additional. You have the option to do the Have It All, which would include Wi-Fi. However, so depending on the cost, it all depends on how it all fits together. But if you have Wi-Fi included, then they'll show you how to hook up to it, or you can purchase Wi-Fi when you're on board as well, if it's not already included in your package.
Mary Jane, the other thing is on both ships, they actually have an app that is made for the ship, and that actually runs, it's called Navigator. It has your schedule and all those things, a lot of like the old printouts that they used to do. Instead of printing out things and you're carrying it around, they actually will do it on there, and it'll actually be customized to your schedule. It has a messenger in there. I often, Heidi and I use WhatsApp when we're on the road, which is a really good app. And all over like Canada and stuff, you're gonna find that there's lots of Wi-Fi. So that's really useful. Also, like I have an international plan for $10 a day, not on the ship. On the ship, you want to use their plan if you're going to do it, or go into airplane mode and use the other tools. So that's, if you have more questions, we're happy to talk about it. I'm definitely somebody that's likes my internet, so I understand it well. Yeah, it's a great question.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Well, again, thanks so much for your time. And I'm going to actually share with you what I was trying to share before. And we'll just say goodbye and enjoy this.
Lots of love from Holland America, guys.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.